It is a quiet, creeping betrayal. It begins not with a thunderclap, but with a whisper. A name, once as familiar as one's own, suddenly evaporates on the tip of the tongue. The reason for walking into a room vanishes the moment one crosses the threshold. These are not mere senior moments. They are tremors, the first subtle warnings from a mind under siege. For decades, the conventional wisdom has been to accept this cognitive fading as a non-negotiable price of aging, a toll paid for a life well lived. But what if that narrative is fundamentally wrong? What if the fog, the frustration, and the fear are not inevitable? Science now suggests that a forgotten class of nutrients, a specific type of brain food, could hold the key not just to halting the decline, but to actively reversing it. The answer is not found in complex puzzles or unproven pharmaceuticals. It is found in the very building blocks of the brain itself. The human brain is an astonishingly complex and energy-hungry organ. Comprising only 2% of the body's weight, it consumes a staggering 20% of its total energy and oxygen intake. This high metabolic rate makes it exquisitely vulnerable to a silent, destructive process known as chronic neuroinflammation. It is the slow, smoldering fire in the control tower, disrupting signals, damaging connections, and, over time, leading to the cognitive betrayal so many fear. Many well-meaning individuals, in an effort to protect their health, have inadvertently been feeding this fire. They have followed dietary advice that, while sound for other parts of the body, may be subtly starving the brain of its most critical resource. For years, the message has been to avoid fats, to embrace whole grains, and to consume specific types of vegetable oils once hailed as heart-healthy. This changes everything. Emerging research from leading neurological institutes now points a finger at an unexpected culprit: the overconsumption of certain polyunsaturated fatty acids, specifically omega-6, found in common soybean, corn, and sunflower oils. When the ratio of omega-6 to another critical fat, omega-3, becomes imbalanced, it creates a cascade of inflammation throughout the body, with the brain being ground zero for the damage. The very foods one might choose for a healthy heart could be clouding the mind. This imbalance acts like a constant state of low-grade alert for the brain's immune cells, the microglia. Instead of protecting and cleaning, they become overactivated, releasing inflammatory molecules that slowly corrode the delicate neural wiring responsible for memory recall and quick thinking. One may find themselves feeling sluggish, foggy, and emotionally flat, never realizing the source could be the healthy cooking oil in their pantry. But if the modern diet is inadvertently fueling the fire of cognitive decline, a more provocative question arises. What is the one substance the brain is truly starving for? The fire extinguisher that can quell the inflammation and begin the process of repair. The answer lies not in what to remove, but in what must be added. For the brain is not just a complex web of electrical signals. It is a physical structure, an organ made primarily of fat. 60% of the brain's dry weight is fat, a truth that has been overshadowed by decades of low-fat dietary dogma. And within that fatty structure, one specific compound reigns supreme as the master architect of cognitive function. This hero is not a rare berry from a remote jungle, or a synthesized chemical from a lab. It is a class of compounds known as phospholipids, specifically one called phosphatidylserine, or PS. Think of PS as the intelligent gatekeeper for every single one of the brain's 86 billion neurons. It is a critical component of the cell membrane, the fatty outer layer, that determines what gets in, what stays out, and how effectively that neuron can communicate with its neighbors. When levels of PS are optimal, a person's neural communication is fast, fluid, and efficient. Memories are encoded and retrieved with ease. Thoughts are clear and sharp. The brain is resilient. However, the body's ability to produce its own PS declines significantly with age, just as the modern diet provides less and less of it through natural food sources. Organ meats, once a dietary staple, are one of the richest sources of PS, yet they have all but vanished from the modern plate. This deficit creates a critical vulnerability. Without sufficient PS, the neuron membranes become stiff and brittle, like old, cracked leather. They lose their fluidity. Neurotransmitters like dopamine and acetylcholine, crucial for focus and memory, struggle to dock and deliver their messages. The result is a system-wide slowdown, a cognitive traffic jam. It's the feeling of a word being just out of reach, a mental file that simply refuses to open. It is the mind, quite literally, losing its flexibility. Clinical studies have illuminated the profound impact of restoring PS levels in adults over 50. A landmark study published in the journal Neurology followed a group of individuals with age-related memory impairment. The group supplementing with PS demonstrated significant improvements in name recall, learning new information, and facial recognition compared to the placebo group. It wasn't a miracle cure. It was simply providing the brain with the raw materials it had been missing. It was giving the Masons the bricks they needed to repair the fortress walls. Restoring this single nutrient can produce remarkable results. But what if one could amplify its effects tenfold? What if there was a way to not only supply the building blocks for repair, but to simultaneously switch on the brain's own master system for growth and regeneration? The true revolution in cognitive health is found in the principle of synergy. It is the understanding that certain compounds and practices, when combined, create an effect far greater than the sum of their parts. The power of phosphatidylserine is unlocked and magnified by another family of brain essential nutrients, the omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA. DHA is, quite simply, the most important structural fat in the brain and retina. If PS is the intelligent gatekeeper of the neuron, DHA is the very substance that makes up the gate, the walls, and the communication wires. It provides the suppleness and fluidity that PS needs to function optimally. When both are present in abundance, the effect is transformative. DHA works to extinguish the fires of neuroinflammation, while PS gets to work on a calm, protected construction site, actively repairing and rebuilding the damaged cell membranes. This is a 1-2 punch against cognitive decline. Imagine a fine leather jacket. Over time, it gets dry and stiff. One could apply a conditioner to make it more flexible, and that would certainly help. But first, one must clean the jacket and stop exposing it to the harsh elements that are causing the damage in the first place. That is the role of DHA omega-3s. They quell the inflammatory storm, creating the perfect environment for PS to perform its restorative magic. Sourcing these nutrients is more straightforward than one might think. The richest dietary sources of DHA are fatty, cold-water fish like salmon, mackerel, anchovies, and sardines. The acronym SMAH is a helpful way to remember them. For phosphatidylserine, aside from the less common organ meats, sources include Atlantic mackerel, chicken heart, and soy lecithin, although achieving therapeutic doses through diet alone can be challenging for many. This is where high-quality, targeted supplementation can play a crucial role for those seeking to actively restore their cognitive function. One must be discerning. The source and quality matter immensely. For fish oil, it should be from a reputable company that tests for heavy metals like mercury. For PS, soy-derived or sunflower-derived versions are widely available and have been used in most clinical trials. The goal is to provide the brain with a clean, potent, and bioavailable supply of its most essential raw materials. The provision of these key nutrients forms the biochemical foundation for a sharper mind. But the brain does not exist in a vacuum. A shocking discovery in neuroscience reveals that the timing of when one consumes these brain foods can be just as important as the foods themselves, all because of a hidden daily brainwash cycle. This brainwashing process is not a metaphor. It is a real, physical mechanism known as the glymphatic system. Discovered only recently, it is the brain's unique waste clearance system, and it is most active during deep sleep. While one sleeps, the brain cells actually shrink, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to pump through the brain at high speed, flushing out metabolic waste products and toxic proteins, including the beta-amyloid plaques associated with cognitive decline. This is where the synergy becomes truly profound. The glymphatic system functions best when inflammation is low. By consuming DHA-rich foods or supplements, one is essentially preparing the brain for a more efficient nightly cleaning. Furthermore, the repair processes that utilize phosphatidylserine also kick into high gear during these restorative deep sleep phases. Providing the brain with these building blocks, particularly with an evening meal, ensures the repair crews have a full supply of materials to work with overnight. This transforms the act of sleeping from a passive state of rest into an active session of brain maintenance and regeneration. It is a fundamental shift in understanding. One is not simply going to bed. One is initiating the most important cognitive health protocol of the day. And the quality of that protocol is determined by the nutritional choices made hours before. But there is another piece to this puzzle. One that requires no food or supplement at all. It is a simple, daily habit that supercharges the brain's energy factories, the mitochondria, and makes them more receptive to these powerful nutrients. It involves harnessing the power of the first light of day. Morning sunlight, particularly in the first hour after waking, is rich in specific wavelengths of blue and red light. When this light enters the eyes, it sends a powerful signal directly to the master clock in the brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This signal does two critical things. It sets a robust circadian rhythm, which dramatically improves sleep quality later that night. And it stimulates mitochondrial function throughout the body, including the brain. A daily ritual is beginning to form, nourishing the brain with specific fats and activating its energy and cleaning cycles with natural light and sleep. But how does one know it's working? The most profound initial changes do not happen in memory, but in an area of well-being most people completely overlook. The first sign that the brain is healing is not that one suddenly remembers a forgotten actor's name. The first sign is often a noticeable improvement in mood and a reduction in anxiety. This is because neuroinflammation is a primary driver of depressive and anxious feelings. The same inflammatory molecules that disrupt memory also disrupt the production and reception of mood-regulating neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. When one begins to quell that inflammation with DHA and rebuild neural resilience with PS, the brain's emotional centers are often the first to respond. A sense of calm clarity may descend. One might find themselves less reactive to daily stressors, more patient, and possessing a more optimistic outlook. This isn't a placebo effect. It is the direct, biochemical result of a less inflamed, better nourished brain. The mental fog begins to lift, and with it, the emotional weight that so often accompanies it. Following this shift in mood, changes in sleep quality are often the next to appear. With a properly calibrated circadian rhythm from morning light and a brain less agitated by inflammation, one may find it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep. Waking up feeling genuinely refreshed, rather than groggy and unrested, becomes the new normal. This improved sleep, in turn, fuels an even more effective glymphatic brainwash each night, creating a powerful, positive feedback loop of healing and restoration. Only then, after the foundations of mood and sleep have been stabilized, do the more direct cognitive benefits typically become apparent. It may start small, finding the right word in a conversation without a frustrating pause, remembering the items on a grocery list without checking it, recalling details from a book or an article with surprising clarity. These are the victories that signal the mind is not just surviving, but thriving. It is the evidence that the brain's destiny is not fixed, but is actively being rewritten, one day at a time. The complete protocol is elegant in its simplicity. It is a commitment to providing the brain with its essential building blocks and aligning one's daily habits with the brain's natural rhythms of energy and cleansing. It starts with reducing inflammatory omega-6 oils and intentionally increasing omega-3-DHA, primarily from fatty fish. It involves ensuring an adequate supply of phosphatidylserine, either through diet or quality supplementation, ideally taken with an evening meal to support overnight repair. It is anchored by the non-negotiable habit of getting 10 to 15 minutes of direct morning sunlight upon waking without sunglasses to set the body's master clock. This protocol represents a paradigm shift away from passively accepting decline and towards actively building a resilient, high-performing mind. The brain's destiny is not written in stone. It is written in the daily choices one makes at the dinner table and the simple rituals one adopts at the dawn of each new day. This journey is not about chasing a flawless memory or recapturing the mind of a 20-year-old. It is about preserving the essence of who a person is. It is about maintaining the cognitive freedom to live independently, to engage deeply with loved ones, to learn new things, and to savor the richness of life without the shadow of mental decline. It is about honoring the incredible organ that holds a lifetime of wisdom and ensuring it remains a vibrant and reliable partner for all the years to come. The betrayal of the mind is not inevitable. It is a choice. By understanding the true needs of the brain and committing to providing them, one can do more than just hold the line against time. One can begin a process of renewal, rewriting their cognitive destiny, and stepping into a future defined not by fear, but by clarity, vitality, and enduring wisdom. For more evidence-based strategies to protect your health and enhance your vitality, subscribe to Better_Health. The journey to a brighter future begins with the right information.